Hi everybody, welcome to Transform. This is Terry Fisher. Today we're going to be cooking with Donna. Welcome back to the kitchen. And today Donna is going to be preparing a special meal for us because some of us just don't like eating chicken and rice every day. Some of us like to have a variety in their meal. So what she's going to be preparing today is a low carb, no pasta lasagna. So I'm going to let her take over and tell you how she's going to make it. Go ahead, dear.
Hi everyone. So we're going to make lasagna today in a really large pan so we can do some portions out for the coming week, and we will be freezing them. And so what you want to do when you are making any dish that has a lot of ingredients all in the same dish and you can't do them all separate after it's cooked, you want to weigh and measure everything that you have before you get going. So you know that you're working with the ground beef, and we always use extra lean ground beef, as lean as you can get. And we want to, that's our heaviest calorie portion of the meal. So you want to make sure you have that weighed out really well so that you know how much you have to work with. So we're going to make a very large pan. It's going to make many servings, but I'm not exactly sure until I get it all together how much calories it's going to be. And then we'll just cut the portions accordingly to what we need them to be for our calories. So what you want to do is you want to get everything ready. You will put in a lot of vegetables that are really low calorie to increase the volume so that you are fuller with not as much. So we're going to start off with our meat, which I've weighed, and it's 4.2 pounds. You want to get that in your pan, and there's going to be enough fat in the hamburger that you do not need to add any oils or anything to that. Just break it up so it can get some surface browning. While that's starting to brown, I've already chopped up all of our other vegetables that we're going to add to it. So I've got like 3 cups of onions, and I've got 8 cloves of garlic. So you want to get all your stuff in that's going to season your meat right away. So that's where you get most of your flavor, because you want to get that meat flavored really nicely. Find me a spoon in there, you know, that one that's kind of flat spoon. Maybe the other girl.
This one?
There's a metal handled one with a black spoon first.
Metal handle one with the black spoon?
Yeah, that one. Great, thanks. So here's where you want to add your seasonings in as well. It's good to have an assistant if you can get one. So we're going to put in some oregano, and these things, you know, they do have some calories, but really they're not even worth calculating. And I just adjust seasonings as I go, so I'll taste it after a while to see how much more of anything that it needs. But it's a couple tablespoons-ish of each. Now we're always using sea salt. This is Himalayan pink salt, and it has lots of minerals in it, so you always want to use a sea salt. If you have your regular table salt, you want to probably just save that for some cleaning thing or something and get some of this really good salt. It still has sodium in it, but it has a lot of health benefits as well. And pepper. And I think this is ground pretty thick, so pretty coarsely. There we go. So you do want to make sure you get lots of seasoning in here because this is where your meat is going to get all of its flavor from. And you want to have that really nicely flavored because when you're eating foods that have a lot of flavor, you actually can eat less and still feel just as satisfied because it's stimulating to your taste buds instead of, like, if we just cooked ground beef without any seasonings, you could probably eat quite a bit of that and feel like you really haven't had much because it'd be very bland. But when your taste buds are stimulated and you've had lots of flavors, then you can eat less and be still satisfied. So it's all about finding ways to eat better foods and less of them and still feel like you've eaten as much as you used to. So this is getting nicely browned. So the other thing about hamburgers, you want to cook it really well. So this is going to brown up really nicely. Then I'm going to add mushrooms. So we have 30 mushrooms here. They're 4 calories a mushroom, so they're pretty cheap on the calories. So you want to add lots of that. And we have diced tomatoes. That's going to get a lot of moisture. And tomato paste. Now that's going to give it a lot of richness. So we're going to have a rich, moist hamburger or spaghetti style sauce, I guess, to make as our meat base for the lasagna. So today we're going to use zucchini slices instead of pasta to cut the carbs down and the calories. I've done it before with eggplant too. So if you like eggplant over zucchini, you can do that as well. What I've done with the eggplant in the past is sliced it up and roasted it in the oven and used the roasted slices instead of the lasagna noodles. But today I'm going to use zucchini and I'm just going to put it on as raw slices. I'm not going to pre-cook it or anything. And if there's a bit of a crunch when you're eating your meal, that's good too, because then you have different textures in your food as well. And that also adds to the enjoyment of the food. And it's all about actually enjoying the food that you eat, not just eating chicken and rice.
What's wrong with chicken and rice, Daryl?
Nothing's wrong with chicken and rice if you like chicken and rice. But some people like to have more exotic flavors and just a feeling of, that was really yummy, instead of, oh yeah, we had chicken and rice again.
Well, we have steak and rice too.
Yeah, or
Yes,
steak and rice.
steak and rice.
Or salmon and rice. Or, something in rice. With vegetables, of course. We're always putting in the vegetables because vegetables are another low-calorie food that you can get a lot of to keep you fuller longer.
Sounds great. I'm looking forward to it. So guys, we're going to have something a little bit more flavoring and a little bit more enjoyable to eat, I guess, for some people, rather than having rice and chicken and steak.
And do you like the food that I cook you?
I love to cook. I love the food that you cook.
And is it chicken and rice?
Sometimes. Not always.
What about our tortilla-less chicken soup? How was that?
That was excellent. That was something we made the other day. It was an excellent soup. We'll have that out on one of the videos as well.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So we're going to get moving here, and we'll check back in a little bit. With every meal, every recipe that we do, there is a math component.
What math?
So tell us a little bit about the math, Donna.
Well, you take all your ingredients, then you figure out how much calories each ingredient has, you add them all up, you divide it by the number of servings that you're going to have, and then you will get how much you can have per serving. So as we're working on this lasagna, there's a lot of calories in the meat. This is going to be a higher calorie. It's going to be over my 300, I think. I'm getting pretty close to it. But there's a lot of protein. So this is going to be running up. You need a very big piece of it anyway. So I think I can maybe still do it about 325-ish calories per serving, and I think we'll get about 24 servings out of that large pan. It's an industrial size baking, roasting pan. And yeah, so you have to include calories from all your ingredients. Even if it's garlic, I know garlic may seem silly, but it's 35 calories for the amount of garlic that we put in. And I know you think that, well, I mean, it doesn't have very much, but actually it has 192 calories in 3 cups. So you do need to take into account all of the calories of all the ingredients that are going in, especially when you're making something like this, because it's all mixed in together and you can't weigh out your meat to see how much it is after. So you have to weigh and measure everything beforehand, get your calories on everything, get it down on paper, and so I'm just trying to figure out how much cheese we get, actually. So
Okay,
that's how we do it.
we love our cheese.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I might add, an extra 40 calories to this dish per serving because we like a little bit more cheese.
Great, sounds great.
Okay, we're ready to put this together. So I put half of the hamburger mixture. So you can see that I boiled it down so that it's not very runny, because you want it pretty solid, because there's going to be a lot of moisture in the zucchini as well. So you want to cook it down until you get a lot of the liquid out of it. So I've got half of that put in there, and we've got our zucchini slices here. We'll just layer those. And then we'll just add all the layers in, and we have to get this in the oven. So don't worry too much about the zucchini, you just get it covered. You want it pretty much all your hamburger covered. If they overlap each other, that's okay. I cut these by hand with a knife, so they're not exactly all identical, but if you had a slicer, our food processor doesn't slice this lengthwise, but if you have a slicer that does that, that would be very handy to do. Okay, maybe one more. Okay, now we need the cottage cheese. So we've mixed cottage cheese with eggs and parmesan cheese. Now we're just going to put all of this over top of the zucchini. Some people don't like cottage cheese, but it's really a good protein source. And if you give it the extra flavor with the parmesan cheese, it's very tasty, and it goes really, really well with the ground beef and zucchini. Yeah, the fans, they make a lot of noise, but man, they're sure nice for the heat. Cooking in the kitchen is hot. Okay, so we have our zucchini is all covered with the cottage cheese. And we will finish off this hamburger. So now it's not going to be quite as easy to spread, so we'll have to kind of clump it around, try to get it a little evenish. So remember, like, every serving is not going to be identical to individual calories, because you might not get it as thick in one spot or as in the other, but overall they're going to be pretty close, and you can average them out well enough. And I think we're going to have this coming in around 300 calories with cheese, and that's about what you want, because us girls, we want to try and stick to around 1,200 calories a day. And so if you have 4 meals that are 300, I know Terry says we should have 5 meals, but you know what, I just can't get there. But if we have 4 meals that are 300 calories, then we are pretty close, and we will still be right in track for our daily daily calorie amount. This is looking pretty good. Yeah, if you can split your calories into 5 different meals, that's ideal. But I know that busy working and trying to keep ahead of everything, it's just really difficult, especially with my job. I'm running all over the hospital all the time, and if I can eat something at my desk, that's usually what I can do, and it's not going to happen that many times a day. So I'm happy if I can do 4. And so whatever you can do, as long as it's like 4 or 5, that's pretty much what you want to get to. Just keeps your metabolism going and keeps your blood sugars level. That's the most important thing, is keeping your blood sugars under control. So you don't want, oops, I have quite enough zucchini here. Good thing I cut up way too much because we have more over here. And now for the cheese. Now we always want to use a lower fat cheese. The only thing you're losing when you use a lower fat cheese is some saturated fat. And you don't really want all that in your body anyway. There's no difference in the carb content, it's just a loss of some saturated fat. And saturated fat is the one that you want to reduce as much as you can. That's the one that can clog your arteries and stuff. So in every ounce of cheese, if you go low fat, or light as they call it, I believe, and I don't go low fat like on anything else because they add a bunch of junk, but cheese is just a real food, so all they're doing is taking out the fat. So you save about 20 to 30 calories per ounce of cheese if you go to a light cheese, and it still tastes great. When you're picking cheddar, you can go light and you get a stronger cheese like an old, and you get all the flavor with fewer calories and less fat. There, how does that look?
Well, that looks great. Let's fire this thing in the oven.
Yeah.
I'm getting hungry
Yeah,
just looking at it. Is the oven hot?
It will be hot, yes, it's hot.
There you go. In it goes. Okay.
Okay, so that's probably going to take about an hour, and then we'll come back and we'll get some portions done up so that you can see how big a portion actually looks like.
Sounds great. See you shortly.
So, our lasagna is out of the oven. Doesn't that look fabulous? And I've let it sit for about 20 minutes so that it can let some of the moisture evaporate. It's still going to be pretty juicy because of all the zucchini in there. And there's no pasta to suck that moisture up, but it's going to be fabulous. You're going to be so happy you did this when it's lunchtime and all you did was grab this out of the freezer and take it to work. And you didn't even have to use a fridge at work because you can just leave it in your lunch bag and heat it up at lunchtime and leave that out. So each portion ended up being, with this much cheese, 282 calories, 31 grams protein, 9 net carbs, and 8 grams fat. So we are just going to scoop them out. Now this is the hard part. It's just the first couple, the first row is going to be hard. After that they'll go easier. So actually kind of do this like that. And you may have to scoop the first bit because, like I said, it is pretty juicy. But they're going to be just delicious when you're having this at lunchtime. And the day you're eating it, you didn't have to do anything except take it out of the freezer. Make sure you cut all the way through to both layers of zucchini. Otherwise, you have to do that. But that's okay. So that first row is difficult to get out because you don't have anywhere to go with your ladle at the back of it. But once you get past that one, it's much easier. So I'm going to actually put some on a plate so that you can see what it looks like as an actual serving. So there is one serving of the low-carb zucchini lasagna. Now that looks fabulous. And that is actually going to be quite filling. You are going to feel like you ate something when you had that. You could add a little bit of vegetables on the side or a small salad if you still feel hungry, but I doubt that you will. So yeah, that's pretty fabulous for 282 calories and tasty.
Looking good, darling. Where's my plate?
Well, you have to get a bigger plate because I'm sure you need to have 2 servings because of, the guy thing versus the girl thing. Yeah.
Wow. So guys, this is another example of pre-planning meals, is cooking up a tray, making something, figuring out your calorie counts, and having your pre-planned meals, packaging it all up and having it nice and easy. Great job, Daryl. I'd like to see some more. We're going to cook some more stuff, aren't we?
Yeah, we'll cook some more.
Great. Let me grab a plate.
Give you 2 servings.
Well, yeah, I'm a growing boy. Right at the moment.
So if you have people that are not watching their calories, this is actually under, well, it's about 570 calories, and it's a lot of food. So for people that don't need to watch their calorie count and make sure that it's very low, then you can have a double portion, and it's a very good sized piece of lasagna. There you go, hon.
Thank you, darling.
Me, I'm sticking to this size because I need to watch my calories.